Welcome, man. This is Ken Rollins, and
I'm John Merrill, and welcome to Brainstorming America. We're excited to have you back this week as we talk about issues of importance again at the federal, the national, at the state, regional, and local levels in order to make sure you're properly informed about issues that are important to you, your quality of life, and your family's quality of life. Welcome back, Ken.
We got everybody, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you again.
Thank you, brother.
And it's cold out there, ain't it?
Yes, sir. Just a little.
I don't know what day these people are going to be watching this, but it's still going to be cold, I guess.
There's no doubt about it.
As cold as it is right here before Christmas, you know doggone well it's going to go on in. It'll be June before my feet thaw out. So it's a go. When we did one of our shows, we were talking about the Space Force and everything and protecting us. And and I want to throw this topic at you and see where you stand. We got to restore America's commitment to freedom while honoring the sanctity of every human life. Now that covers a broad range. That covers us and them little babies.
There's no doubt about it. And the thing that we have to remember, Ken, is that the founding fathers established America at the time as a fledgling nation. But it has become the greatest country in the history of the world. And that's because of the independence that we all experience and because of the freedoms that are given to us, not by a government, not by a document, but by the Lord God Almighty. And we are in a position to be able to advance those freedoms and to share them with others around the world because of what we have accepted as our mantle in being the greatest country in the history of the world. This republic that we know as a constitutional republic, the United States of America, has put us in a position to be able to defend our lives, defend our liberty, and to make sure that we're protecting the people who are with us today and those that will follow us, our posterity in the future.
I'm kind of worried about that and what I see in this world today, and I see that I heard Schumer talking, and it's like those deaths were these babies is not going to put a strain on. It's going to take a strain off of this country. And then I hear how they look at the illegals coming into the country, and it's like up is down, down is up to me now. When they put in their priorities, it's okay to lose a bunch of babies, but you know, if I was Hitler-esque, and I wanted to take over, I would do what they're doing to the black babies. They're killing all the black babies.
Well, Ken, the problem that we have is we don't know how many of those people that have been aborted, and they are people who are aborted, when those particular children are removed from that mother's womb, how many of those people would have been rocket scientists?
Thank you.
How many of those people would have had an opportunity to help solve the cure for cancer? How many of those people would have been able to entertain us as musicians? How many of those people would have been able to perform for us as members of the National Basketball Association or the National Football League or Major League Baseball players? How many of those people would have been teachers, would have been counselors, would have been lawyers, would have been doctors? How many of those people would have helped us change the world? And now they're simply removed as trash out in the bin whenever that workday is over because of that particular attitude by those people that are involved in that particular action. You know,
that's, I would think that you're the FBI and you've been following me because up there in our park that you've been to many times, 100,000 names up there of people who died in war and various other things, law enforcement.
And let me again commend you, Ken, for having one of the finest parks in not just the state of Alabama, but in the United States of America at the local level, because of the commitment that y'all made, the funding that you have constantly provided, and the way that you continue to maintain it to remember those people who've made the ultimate sacrifice.
Thank you for that. And those, we lost part of it the other day when that drunk come through there with his car wide open. And I just was showing their floor man this morning while I wrote a check for $66,000 yesterday to replace in the Korean Memorial up there.
Yes, sir.
But that aside, we've got. I'll be up there in the park and I'll move up there behind a name, put my finger on that name, and turn around and have a conversation with it, but to make sure those people are not forgotten. I don't know the name, but I'll ask them the same thing you were talking about. What would you have done? Would you Joe Smith or whatever, would you be the person who discovered the cure for cancer? Would you have become the president of the United States? We don't know because we never got to know them.
That's exactly right. And we never had the opportunity for them to become all they could possibly be,
Right.
simply because of the choices that were made beyond their control. And that's the reason why the Dobbs decision that occurred in the summer of 2022 is so very important to preserving liberty, freedoms, and the future for our children, and to make sure that those decisions that are made the way they're supposed to be made, and not just at will and willy-nilly as it has been in the past.
Yeah, back to the names on the wall and stuff. When we lose somebody, it's all the different emotions you get from losing somebody in a war. But nobody thinks like we were just talking about. Wonder what he would have done. But I've had more than one parent say, "I wish I had got to see Jimmy do." A lady down in Florida, down by the space place down there. She said basically that. I wonder what he would have done had he had the chance to live. And then a lady here in Anniston, she asked me, said, I wonder what Ray would have said if you'd been talking to him, what he'd have said back to you. And that caused me to put the poem that's on that wall up there.
Yes, sir.
They've engraved it on there, not just a name on the wall, because give him a voice. And we don't know what their contributions would be, and that's a sad thing. That goes back
Yes,
to
sir.
the abortion, not having concern for that life. All life is important. So
No doubt about it, my friend.
they tell me we got to go to a break. You gonna let them go?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to a break. Make some money. And welcome back to Brainstorming America. Ken Rollins here, and I'm with Secretary of State John Merrill, Alabama Secretary of State. Not because we got some over there I wouldn't want to be compared with. And
Don't confuse me with Andrew Blinken.
Oh no, absolutely not. Please. And again, I've made myself some notes, and because I want to make sure we get these things covered, because this is important for everyone, even in Ohatchee.
Especially in Ohatchee. If you're not informing the creek banks, you're not doing your work.
Yeah, I mess with them. We want to talk about giving the parents control of the children's education, something I believe in very, very strongly. What are your thoughts? I haven't ever talked to you about it.
Ken, look, public education in the state of Alabama has been very important since its inception. And we have been providing public education in the state of Alabama since the early 1800s. But there's a time and a place for everything to change. One of the things that we need to do is we need a full examination by the Alabama legislature to ensure that the tax resources that are being provided by the people of our state are going to meet the needs of the people of our state. And the children that are in the 144 school systems around the state of Alabama are not all being treated equally or fairly. Dr. Eric Mackey is doing a tremendous job as our state superintendent. We have an outstanding Board of Education, but those individuals cannot do everything that needs to be done. The best education is left up to the local educators in the local area, but that starts with parents in the home. And we have to make sure that parents are in charge of their children's education. That means that if they are in the public school system, they need to be involved in what's going on in the public school system, from the classroom to the lunchroom to the assembly programs to the athletic competitions to the academic competitions, all the things that need to be considered. But what we need to do too is whenever parents decide that it's in their best interest to have a different educational environment, whether it be a private, parochial, independent, or homeschool setting, that we are also supporting them, because they are continuing to make the tax contributions necessary for everything else to work. The tax dollars need to follow the student wherever the student goes. And if you are providing a quality educational service in one of our 144 school systems across the state, students will continue to be a part of those schools because they know that they're being nourished and they're being fed. But what we need to do is to make sure that parents are in charge of their own children's education each and every day.
Do you think there's a segment of the parenting that really, it's like send them to school, they'll take care of them, but they don't really care what they're being taught?
Well,
That kind of
I think there are a number of people like that, Ken, because people in the instance that you gave are just looking for somebody to help provide them with assistance. Maybe they don't feel like they're capable of providing the educational assistance that's necessary for their children to grow and to develop or to become mature and more functional citizens in our state and in our nation. But what we want to do is to make sure that we are offering each of them the best resources possible for them to be able to grow and to mature so they can help their children the way that they want to help them. And to just think that they're abdicating their responsibility may not be what's actually occurring. They just may not be in as comfortable a position as other families may be to provide that kind of assistance and that kind of support that other people can do.
Well, how do you feel in like a charter school where the parents should be able to, the financing comes down to the school?
Well, it
Per
can.
child.
It can. It just depends on how it's structured, but that's the reason why the legislature has to make sure that the laws that have been passed in the past and the laws that are passed in the future actually favor the child, not favor the educator, not favor the education lobby, not favor the superintendent's lobby or any group like that, but actually favor the children that are being served. That's the most important thing. A child's education is something you cannot get back. You can invest in that child's life each and every day in a particular environment, but a child will learn in any environment. We just want to make sure that they are given each and every available option to become the best they can possibly become so they can contribute in our state and in our nation, and especially at the local level, at the best way they're capable of doing so.
Before we go any further, I'm going to do it while I'm thinking about it. Your term is about up. You're decided not to run, which I didn't get a vote in that.
Right. Of course, I was term limited in the office and could not continue in the role of
But I
Secretary
knew
of State.
that I wanted to get that changed too, so
Yes,
you
sir.
could go on, right? Stay on. Well, no, I had really thought maybe you'd be my governor or United States Senator or something else. But anyhow, you've chosen to do something else, and tell me about it.
Yes, sir, and I'm in the private sector now with Wagner Engineering. It's an international engineering firm. It's based in Jackson, Mississippi, and of course, we have offices in Birmingham and 7 states in the Union, and we're very excited to be a part of the Wagner family and to be able to work with our municipalities, all 463 municipalities in our 67 counties, our county officers, to help them in the area of civil engineering, whether it's roads and bridges, whether it's water and sewer projects, whatever it happens to be. We want to make sure that we're encouraging them to use the resources available to them so that they can provide the kind of services that are necessary for all the constituents in their particular jurisdiction.
Will I be able to call you and get advice if I see something going on in Georgia or somewhere about elections and got a question about it?
Now, I can still help with that, and
You
I
can
can
tell.
still be someone that can act as a sounding board for that purpose, absolutely.
Can we go to Mar-a-Lago together?
I would look forward to that.
You go ride a shotgun?
You know, I'll be happy to do that. I'll be Rowdy Yates to your Gill favor, my friend, as we have the rawhide moving forward.
All right, well, we could do that. We might not want to bite off more than we can chew here. So, yeah, we got that plan. Y'all heard him now, so we're going to Mar-a-Lago. Anyhow, that's my Mar-a-Lago pen right there. We're going to a break. Got to make some money. Stay where you're at. Get a pen. And welcome back to Brainstorming America, and we are brainstorming somewhat. Talking with Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill, and I got some bullets here, some points I want to talk to him about, so we don't miss this. John, the note I got here is securing the border. I don't think anything is more important than what's going on now. What I watched on the way in here today on TV and what I listened to on the radio, it's serious. I mean, we are being invaded. I don't know another name for it.
Well, look, Ken, the thing that we have to remember is that securing the borders is one of the most important things that our elected officials are charged with doing. As a matter of fact, in the preamble, it says we need to provide for the common defense of our people. It's one of the basic charges for the creation of the republic. And if we're not meeting the basic standards in defense-oriented posturing to make sure that our people can do what they need to do in providing for their families, having an overall quality of life is the expectation that they want to have, then what are we actually doing? Are we actually continuing to promote the greatest country in the history of the world, this constitutional republic that was set aside by our founding fathers, or are we trying to prepare ourselves for something else that is not causing America to be all America can be, and certainly not making it the greatest country that's ever been known to man?
And we got on our southern border, for example, we have governors that try to defend their state and are then subjected to lawsuits by the federal, the executive branch. It's like they don't want us to be protected. It's like, okay, somebody steps up and says, I'm going to use my National Guard to protect us. Or I'm going to put, like Arizona, putting these containers up to protect us. And then they're being sued by the executive branch for that.
But Ken, let's be realistic. Two of the finest governors that we have in the United States of America are Governor Greg Abbott from Texas and Governor Ron DeSantis from Florida.
Absolutely.
And they are working extraordinarily hard to protect their people, to protect the borders, which protects the rest of us that may not be border states. And I'm very, very proud to be supporters of both of those men and both of their administrations for what they're doing to protect all of us as they try to ensure that the state of Texas and the state of Florida are secure and sound.
Did you notice how loud the noise got out there when those buses showed up in New York and Chicago and places like that? I mean, what you got to do is what you got to do.
That's exactly
and
right.
DeSantis and Abbott sending those people up. I was watching yesterday the mayor of New York. He said, we're going to have to declare this was, oh, you're welcome. We want you to come over here. We're open arms. There's no to turn no one away. Oh yes, now we got to turn you away. Yeah, but and in El Paso, my gosh, as I see here today, below 20 degrees down there last night. They're laying on the streets, wrapped up in whatever they get. And this is the people that was talking about how we was harming our people under Trump and whatever. This is.
Well, when the shoe's on the other foot,
oh, yeah,
they're not necessarily as enthusiastic about the position that they had before. Because whenever that occurs, what you know is the real truth is actually being told by those individuals. They're fine with it as long as it's not in their own backyard. But when it's in their backyard, they have a different perspective. What we need is a universal plan to make sure that people know this. Now, Ken, we've talked about this before. Nobody that's watching us on our show today wants to keep people from coming to the United States. But we want people to come the right way. And if you don't like the process for nationalization to become a United States citizen, then you need to work to change the laws. You can't just say, I'm going to show up and then they're going to change it for us. We have to make sure that we're protecting the citizens of the United States that are here, that were born here, that are citizens, and those that have been naturalized. But we can't do that with the new people at the expense of the people that are already here. We've got to make sure they're following the rules, they're following the guidelines, they're following the laws. If we don't like the laws, if they need to be changed, then we need to change them.
I've seen, I got people in my family. My nephew's wife is from the Philippines, and I remember how much she was, and it was way in the thousands that she had to pay to get her citizenship. She first she had to learn to speak English, then she had to learn all about the Constitution, and she knows more about it than a lot of us. And she is probably, if I said, she is a perfect American, because at Thanksgiving and places where we gather, she loves this country more than anybody around the table.
Absolutely.
And that includes me, and I think I'm the top one.
Well, you've served our nation in many, many ways, and we're so proud of you, Ken, and all you've done at the national level as well as at the state level. We can never repay you for the debt that we owe you because of what you've done for our country. But I will say this, because the example that you gave, back when House Bill 56 was being debated in the Alabama House of Representatives, when I was a member between 2010 and 2014, this was in 2011, one of the things that we saw was an inordinate number of people who were piling on. They would send emails to our email accounts and tell us how we were mistreating people and how they were not able to attain citizenship because they were going to be deported or they were afraid. And I had an individual that sent me an email that talked about how his wife had been in this country for 20 plus years and now she was going to be deported, and they lived in fear each and every day, and they didn't know what they were going to do, and how I was wrong for trying to make sure that those people were supposed to be U.S. citizens in order to register to vote, in order to be able to take advantage of opportunities that are only available for U.S. citizens. And I simply responded to them by saying that obviously you have a major problem, because if your wife has been here for more than 20 years and she still has not attained citizenship, at some point somebody has been in the road, in your way, providing an obstacle. We need to get that obstacle removed. Would you please explain to me at what period of time over that last 20 years that has occurred and continued to be a burden for you, so that we can get it removed? That's not what they were interested in hearing. They just wanted it to be embraced in everything that had happened, because they'd made no advancements towards citizenship in that 20-year period of time.
Yeah, and like I said, those people that go like that and do it the right way, they love this country, and when they hold that hand up and take it, they are the proudest people you've ever seen. They tell them they got to go to a break, so let's go do a break. That's what they tell me.
I believe we're going to end the show today.
We're going to end it. Oh,
yes, sir. This is it for
Thank
this
you for
week.
doing that. We get so excited and carried away here. We'll see you next time. I ain't going to say next week. We'll see you the next time on Brainstorming America.